you have now what is the total global entrepreneurship academy.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about what your role is and how you see entrepreneurship.
Well, I see entrepreneurship as an area which is often misunderstood, but basically an entrepreneur, as I see it, is somebody who effectively has a vision, they've got a passion, and they want to go out and turn it into a reality. Money might be whether they're a creative person or not. Generally, money is secondary for an entrepreneur, which many people find hard to believe. And you even see people like Richard Branson talking and saying, well, money doesn't mean anything. And a lot of people scoff and say, well, that's garbage because you're a billionaire. Genuinely, I think with every entrepreneur I've ever met, be they small, medium or large, they're not doing it for the money. They're doing it because they've got a vision and they've got doing it because they've got a passion. Those two things together, if you're using those two things to create a product or service which is adding value to somebody's life somewhere, be it satisfying a need or a want, whatever it is, you're adding value, then that becomes something which is monetizable. And to do all that and to sit on top of that and to conceive that is what an entrepreneur does. Someone that then manages it and takes it to the next step, that's what a management team does. But entrepreneur conceives all that and basically, incubates the baby, gives birth to the baby and conceives the baby. So that's what an entrepreneur does. So I find that it's, and entrepreneurs, give rise to small businesses, which in just about every economy around the world, certainly the UK and most other Western economies, small business is the lifeblood of those economies. That they really are the lifeblood. It's not the big businesses, half of which pay tax offshore and, ridiculous, complicated arrangements. It's the small businesses, the people who are, doing the hard yards every day. They're the nuts and bolts of most economies. So, it's an incredibly important part of the economy. It's an incredibly important part of UK PLC. And, these people are just amazing, indefatigable people who generally have just a singular vision and they want to go out there and make it a reality and they deserve support. And so to me, the UK is certainly one of the hotbeds of entrepreneurialism in the world, and certainly I think there's enormous support and enormous resources available from government levels and all different private, public, social enterprise, all different levels. There's a lot of support for entrepreneurs. And what strikes me is that, certainly for me, who loves business and loves dealing with entrepreneurs, being able to be in this market and work with and advise and sit on boards and talk to entrepreneurs, it's like being at Disneyland, because you can really just engage with people, engage with their businesses, hear their stories. Everybody's got a story. Everybody arrived at the level that they arrived at somehow. They decided to leave their job. They decided to leave their country and risk everything to come here and fulfill their dream. Or they're holding down a job trying to get their business off the ground after hours and managing their life at the same time. And all of these things, it's just not easy. It's a lot easier to go and get a good job, get a salary, and go home at 5 o'clock and pay, just have a happy life. It's easier. But if you're an entrepreneur, that's not an option. There's only one option in your life, and that's to do what came into your mind and what came into your heart and whatever that idea is. That is the only option. And it's like an athlete running a race, or an actor, or anything else where you're dealing with people with extreme passion. And if you're looking at an athlete, you're going to have a situation where for them they're going to spend 4 or 5 years, 10 years, however long in their life training for an Olympic Games for one event, and they could have the flu on the morning of the Olympic Games. But they don't think about that. They're thinking about training for one race. But what they never lose sight of is that they're training for that race. They're training for the 400 meters or training for the 100 meters or whatever they're training for, and they never lose sight of where they've got to go. It's only a short distance that they have to run, 100 meters, 400 meters, swim, whatever it is, but as the crow flies. But in reality, it's a long journey, and it's the same with entrepreneurialism. In reality, it should be quite simple. You make a product or service, people like it, you sell it, you get money, everybody's happy. But so in that sense, it should be quite a short, condensed situation. But there's a long journey, and it involves a lot of psychology and business, particularly at that early stage. But even at the later stages, there's so much psychology involved in it, and getting your head around things and having the right mindset and the right frame of mind. And to not have that, it can really, you could have a great business, and if you have the wrong psychology or your mindset gets shifted incorrectly because of the stress, the negativity, overwhelmed by bills, trying to innovate and do the admin, trying to go to meetings and develop business, and then you go home and you got 200 emails to answer. All of these things, it just can become too much, and people can get consumed by negativity, and then they don't perform. So it's a hard journey for entrepreneurs.